what do you think employers or even academia or universities can do differently to help people enter or even transition into the industry?
Yeah, I think one of them, and I feel like I'm seeing this more now than maybe existed when I was doing my like sort of PhD, started 10 years ago at this point, is there seems to be such an emphasis on kind of job applications that you see where it's saying you must have a PhD, and this sits on the employer side of things. And I do think I'm obviously, having a PhD is a very useful thing, but it's not the, be all and end all for somebody being very good candidate for a job. And I think there seems to be a bit too much emphasis on somebody having a very niche knowledge of a topic. And I'm saying this as somebody who has an extremely niche knowledge of a
Yeah.
niche topic. And I've done my best to try and sort of broaden my skill set that I've had. So I picked up things like engineering skills from my previous role and things like that. And I think employers should be looking more at the kind of skill sets that people have either got not just through their degree, but in general, but also things that people are interested in. Because to be honest, if somebody's interested in something, that means way more to me than having a specific PhD in a niche field does. So I think that's one thing. But that's not to say that obviously having a PhD isn't really important. And some jobs definitely do require, if it's going to be extremely focused on developing a specific algorithm for a quantum computing hardware, that obviously requires somebody to have 7 years background in that. But I think for the kind of the graduates that come out of university, that's something that can feel really daunting actually, is going up against people with PhDs. And if somebody thinks, well, I've just got a master's, that doesn't at all mean that that person isn't going to be as good, if not better, for the job. I think. I guess from the academia side, again, I think there's quite a lot of pressure to continue and study more in academia to pursue PhDs with kind of no knowledge really of what the end goal is. And I think there should be, and actually, this is something that I'm seeing more specifically with the quantum hubs existing for the last sort of 10 years, is that synergy between industry and academia and trying to bridge that gap and actually saying, well, academia can work with industry and there should be an easy path between them. So I think if you're, one of my things I would always encourage people to do is to try and do some sort of industry placement whilst you're actually at university, or have involvement with industry, even if it's something like, you do a summer internship. Those things look amazing on a CV and you learn skills there that you don't probably appreciate at the time that are particularly useful. I mean, I certainly did from my stint in my chemistry industry placement. Obviously, it has nothing to do with what I'm doing now, but a lot of the skills that I learned there are still relevant nowadays.
Do you have any role models in the industry or anyone you look up to?
I have many. I can give you a short list. I guess, but for my specific kind of field, I mean, Stephanie Werner is one of the biggest names in kind of quantum internet work, and the things that she does have always been incredible. And I guess when I said earlier that I had no idea about anything to do with quantum kind of communications or anything like that when I started my PhD, where everything I learned about the quantum internet basically came from Stephanie Werner's incredibly well written papers and presentations that you can find on YouTube. And so, yeah, I've never met her, but I would always love to thank her for pulling me through those first few months of my PhD where I was like, what am I doing here? And similarly as well, Eleni Diamanti is another fantastic physicist that I've always had a lot of respect for. And my first year of my PhD, I did a summer school, and Eleni Diamanti was presenting there and led a module on security proofs in quantum and in QKD. And again, like this is something that I spent 3 years of my life working on, and I have Eleni to thank for that, because the first time it ever made sense to me was when she presented it to me. And I've also met her, and she is absolutely lovely as well. So it's always good to meet your heroes, and it turns out they're actually nice. Um, and I guess the other role model that I have, and I'd love to have a brain as good as his, is Renato Renner, who basically invented the quantum security proof. And it's just astounding. He's got this thesis that basically all people that study QKD at PhD level are challenged to try and read.
This is the question that I'm most interested in, certainly. It's what's something that you've seen recently in quantum tech or just technology in general that really excites you?
Yeah, so I guess the most exciting thing for me was in October last year was the launch of the IBM Quantum Data Centre in Germany, just outside of Stuttgart, which fortunately enough I was lucky enough to actually be invited to. So the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz was there to do the grand unveiling, and it was an extremely. I felt very. I was glad I put my suit on that day. Is all I'll say for this conference. I don't normally, and it was fantastic. I mean, it's the first quantum data center in Europe, for sure. And it's their big 156-bit qubit, sorry, quantum computer called Heron, and now they're and they can now run, getting close to utility level quantum algorithms, which is just so exciting. I mean, this has been something that's been like the kind of, the golden treasure of the quantum computing field for years. And despite me being fairly new into quantum computing, really focusing on it more in just the last year, it's really exciting to see the developments just in such a short space of time. So I think, whilst this is probably going to be the most common answer if you asked every quantum physicist in the room is what you're most excited about, they'll just say, oh, quantum computing at utility scale. But I think it's now seeing that really becoming like achievable. It always felt like it was this kind of like, too far away to really know about. And even, sort of 10 years ago when I started my quantum journey, seeing a lot of the technology now being kind of commercialized is so exciting. So it's difficult to pick one thing in quantum, but I would say like, these actual quantum computers that you can now access and hopefully run something that's better than you could do classically is always going to be the most exciting thing. And I can't wait to see kind of where this goes. We don't know what we're going to really do with quantum computers yet, and it's so exciting just to know where it's going to go.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well, thank you for thank you for taking the time to speak to me today, Ryan. I really appreciate it. I had lots of fun on that on this edition. Thank you very much all for listening. I'm sure you were a wonderful audience. But yeah, hope to see you on the next edition. Ryan, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew.